you guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be talking about one of my favorite movies, The Princess and the Frog. Now, The Princess and the Frog starts off with Tiana's mother reading a story to Tiana and her best friend Charlotte. Now, Tiana's mom is a seamstress, the best seamstress in New Orleans. So, while she gets to the end of the story where the frog prince, the name of the story, turns into a handsome prince, Charlotte tells her to read it again. And then Charlotte tells Tiana, I would do it. I would kiss 1,000 frogs so I can become a princess and marry a prince. And Tiana says, never, never, ever in my whole life would I ever kiss a frog. And so Charlotte teased her and says, oh, is that so? And so she puts a mask of a frog on the cat, and then she tries to get Tiana to kiss the cat, but then the cat gets scared and the cat reaches the ceiling. But the cat's okay because the mom gets the cat down, and then the cat just crawls away when the cat doesn't have the mask on him anymore, the mask of a frog. But the girls just start laughing because it's funny. It's like, I wonder how did that cat reach the ceiling? But, you know, Disney logic. So, Tiana's mother says, come along, Tiana. Your daddy must be home from work by now. And then Charlotte's dad, Big Daddy Buck, walks in. And Charlotte tells her dad that she wants the dress in the picture that the princess has. So, after Charlotte begs, he says, all right, princess, you're getting that dress. But after that dress, that is it. No more Mr. Pushover. Now, who wants a puppy? And he asks Eudora, Tiana's mother, to make the dress because she is the best seamstress in New Orleans. So, when she goes home, she cooks gumbo with her dad, and then they share it with the whole neighborhood. And just, they cook gumbo, they have hush puppies, and then we see the whole neighborhood gathered and saying, oh, the gumbo smells so good, Tiana. I got some hush puppies. I have some tea. Like, oh my gosh, it was just such a beautiful moment. And her father tells Tiana when he opens his own restaurant, people will be coming from all over just to get a taste of his food. And then Tiana says, our food. And then the dad says, you're right, baby, our food. And so he writes down on the paper that he has been saving of the restaurant that he wanted to own, Tiana's Place. And then that night, Tiana tells her father that if I make a wish on the evening star, it's sure to come true. But Tiana's father also tells her, well, you wish on that star, But remember, Tiana, that old star can only take you part of the way. You gotta make it with some hard work of your own to make your own dreams come true. And her father said, I want you to promise me one thing. Promise me that you will never lose sight of what's really important. And then she promises, and then they tuck her in, and then they say their good nights, and then when they are off to bed, Tiana gets out of bed, makes a wish on the shooting star to own the restaurant, and then there is a frog on her window, by her window, because her window is open. And then when the frog makes a noise, she gets scared and goes into her parents' room to sleep. But we get a time jump, and now she is a grown-up, and her daddy has passed away. But don't worry, Tiana is still saving up for the restaurant by working her 2 jobs, and before she gets up for her other job, she puts the money that she earned for her job in a jar that she had a jar full of money that she has been saving to buy that spot for the restaurant. And before she goes to sleep, she kisses her fingers, then she puts the kissed fingers on her dad's picture and says, "Don't you worry, Daddy, we'll be there soon." And after she wakes up from her nap, she is going to her second job as a waitress at a diner. And then while she is working, her friends come in the diner and they ask Tiana if they wanted to come and celebrate Mardi Gras with them and dance with them. But Tiana says, "You know I have 2 left feet. Plus I am actually working a double shift tonight, so I can save for my restaurant." And her friends, they are hating on my girl Tiana because they say, "So you can save for your restaurant." I know. But girl, all you ever do is work. And her other friend said, "I told you guys she wouldn't come." Like, stop hating on my girl Tiana. She is saving up for a restaurant. She is reaching her dreams. Stop messing with my girl Tiana, alright? Stop messing with her. So, Buford the cook gives her next order, but then he says, "Are you talking about that restaurant again? And you will never save up to get that building." But Tiana says that she is getting close. And then he says, by the time, if you save up, if you save up to get that building, that is the chance that I will win the Kentucky Derby. And then Charlotte and her dad, Big Daddy Buff, come in for breakfast. And then Tiana makes him a fresh pot of beignets. So, like, it's a fresh pot of beignets. So, it's like, a beignet is kind of like, it's like dough, and then you put powdered sugar on it. It's really, 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 really good. And so, Tiana congratulates him of becoming king of the Mardi Gras parade. And then he says it took me completely by surprise for the 5th year in a row. And Charlotte is excited because Prince Naveen of Nadania is coming to New Orleans, and he is staying at their house as their personal guest. And Charlotte is throwing a masquerade ball, and she gives Tiana the money to pay for her restaurant, and Buford is so surprised that an egg falls on the bell. And I'm like, what, Buford? What, Buford? You didn't think that girl could do it, could you? And then, when the masquerade ball starts, Tiana is serving the food, and she has already bought the building because later on in the movie, the guy's, Mr. Finner, has already gave her the building, and all she needs to do is sign the papers. So she said, how about I will sign them when I see you guys at the masquerade ball tonight. And then her mom tells her, I'm pretty sure that this place will be just wonderful, baby cakes. But it's a shame that you're working so hard. And Tiana says, I have to make sure all Daddy's hard work means something. And then her mom tells her, look, Tiana, your daddy may not have gotten the place that he always wanted, but he had something better. He had love. And that's all I want for you, honey. I want you to meet your Prince Charming and to stroll off into your happily ever after. And then we get the first best song in the movie, Almost There. When Tiana is saying that she's gonna let nothing get in her way into getting the restaurant that she always wanted, and she says that she is almost there and almost reaching her dreams. And then her and her mom clean the place up, and then they go off together. And this is when we meet Prince Naveen. And he is dancing and having fun with the townspeople because he loves jazz music. And then he tells Lawrence, the guy, I guess the guy is his butler. They don't really say what Lawrence is. And so they tell Lawrence that he buys everyone there a drink. And then Lawrence says, with what? By this point you have two choices. Marry a rich young lady or get a job. And then he says, alright, fine, I'll get a job. But first we dance. And so while they're dancing, Lawrence gets caught in a tuba, and when Prince Naveen gets him out, they actually bump into Dr. Facilier. And knowing that Dr. Facilier is up to something, Lawrence says, "Your Highness, maybe we should go to the masquerade ball now." Because he can see that Dr. Facilier just read the newspaper. But he told Prince Naveen that he can read palms. And that he specializes in dreams made real. 'Cause he is the Shadow Man. And then we get the second best song in the movie, Friends on the Other Side. Now, Dr. Facilier has made a deal with Prince Naveen that he can make him rich and make his whole life green. Now, he turned him into a frog, and then he turned Lawrence into Prince Naveen by using a voodoo necklace that, as long as Prince Naveen's blood is in it, he will look like Prince Naveen. Apparently the voice doesn't matter, because people's never seen Prince Naveen speak. I could tell right away that they didn't have the same voice, but they did look alike. So keep this in mind. So now, Dr. Facilier is working with Lawrence to get, you know, Charlotte, Tiana's best friend, to get Charlotte to marry him, and then they will split the money 50-50. And once he gets rid of Big Daddy LaBeouf, Dr. Facilier can run this town, and the friends from the other side can have all the little dark souls that they desire of having. So that is the deal. So Lawrence goes as Prince Naveen, but later on that night, Prince Naveen got loose because Lawrence loosened the lid. And when they're at the party, Charlotte begins to get upset because Prince Naveen isn't there yet. And suddenly, she wishes on a star, and then Prince Naveen appears, and then they dance. Oh! This is a very important part, because while she is serving at the party, and while Prince Naveen is dancing with Charlotte, Tiana stops serving at the party for now, just to see Charlotte dance with Prince Naveen. And Charlotte is so happy that she didn't even walk, guys. She didn't even walk down there to meet him. She ran and grabbed him and just started dancing with him. And it was just so funny. Well, you guys have got to go see The Princess and the Frog. It is just so funny. The way she just walked, the way she just ran and just grabbed him and just started dancing with him. And I'm like, Tiana's happy for her, and then Tiana starts moving her head from side to side, and then she sees Mr. And then she sees Miss, Mr. 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 Finner, who supposed to be bringing the papers for her to sign. But get this, my poor girl Tiana was outbid by someone else who came in and offered $1,000 in cash. And if Tiana cannot top the offer by Monday, she can kiss that place goodbye. And then when Tiana tries to talk to them, they just walk away with the beignets. And then Tiana actually grabs onto the costume and then bumps into the table and gets her beautiful costume ruined. But Charlotte comes over when she thinks it's time for the beignets to be served, and then she helps Tiana get into this beautiful princess costume. Let me put the air quotes on costume here. Costume. So she is in the beautiful princess costume. Prince Naveen showed up as a frog as Tiana is making a wish on the wishing star to get the restaurant. And Tiana hears a frog, and then Tiana says, very funny. So what now? I suppose you want to kiss? And then Prince Naveen says, kissing will be nice, yes? And then Tiana gets afraid and starts hitting him with stuffed animals and telling him to go away. And then he explains that he is Prince Naveen of Neldanya. And then Tiana hits him with the book. And Tiana says, wait a minute. If you're the prince, then who was that dancing with Lonnie on the dance floor? And Prince Naveen explains, all that he knows is that one minute he was charming and handsome, cutting a rug, and the next thing he knows, he is tripping over frog feet. So when he sees the book, The Frog Prince, and he sees that a kiss can turn him back into a human again, Tiana agrees because Prince Naveen says, besides being utter besides me being handsome, I come from a wonderful, wealthy family, and perhaps there is the wish I can grant for you, yes. And then, so Tiana does it because she knows if she does this, she can get the money for her restaurant. So she kisses Prince Naveen after she tells Prince Naveen that she doesn't kiss frogs. She thinks about the restaurant. So she kisses Prince Naveen, but it backfires. And he stays the frog, and also Tiana becomes one. And Tiana says, "Oh, what did you do to me? I am green and I'm slimy." And then Prince Naveen says, "That is not slime. That is mucus." And I'm like, Prince Naveen, would you just stop? It's like, honestly, slime, mucus, that's the same thing. And Tiana fights Prince Naveen all the way outside. And then Lawrence, who is pretending to be Prince Naveen, with the voodoo necklace that makes him look like Prince Naveen. But he doesn't sound like Prince Naveen. So I wonder if anyone knows. Well, nobody knows. Well, I think I'm just nitpicking at stars. So anyway, as I said before, Lawrence, who is pretending to be Prince Naveen with the voodoo necklace that makes him look like Prince Naveen, gets scared and actually drops the drinks that he was going to give to Charlotte. And it turned out that Prince Naveen and Tiana gets caught by Stella the dog. And then they jump on some balloons to get away from Stella, and that works. But there is some good news. Like, people at, like, the musicians at the party was falling asleep because of the music they were playing. But as soon as Tiana got onto the drums, the drummer got scared of the frogs and tried to get the frogs off the drums. And then when he got the frog off the drums, they started playing some jazz music, and I was like, oh yeah. So Tiana and Prince Naveen are now floating in the sky, and Tiana is panicking because the dog just spoke to her, and the dog knows that is Tiana. And then Prince Naveen says, "Are you going to let every little thing bother you? Because it's going to be a very long night." And sitting there in the shadows is the Shadow Man. And he knows that Prince Naveen has escaped from the jar. So, Lawrence, the butler, as he is disguised as Prince Naveen, he goes back and sees that Prince Naveen has escaped. And he says, "Oh my." And then Dr. Facilier comes back and he says, "You let him go?" And then Lawrence says, "Well, the poor thing looked like he couldn't breathe in the jar, so I just loosened the lid a slight." And then Lawrence tripped over the shadow that the Shadow Man has. And then Lawrence takes off the voodoo necklace, and Lawrence says, "I can't go through with this. You wear this thing of a necklace." So he almost throws it into the fire, but Dr. Facilier stops him, and he says, "The thing about voodoo, Larry, is that it doesn't work on me, but it works on you. And we can split the profits 50-50 like I said." So, they are back in business. So, Lawrence will promise to marry Charlotte LeBolt. So, Lawrence will promise to marry Charlotte and pretend to be Prince Naveen, as long as they got the prince's blood in this. But when Prince Naveen and Tiana are floating, this is when okay, so leave that, because the necklace that he has we will come back to that later. So, later on that night, Prince Naveen confesses that he is not rich, that he is completely broke, and Tiana confesses to him that she is not a princess, that she is a waitress, and Tiana also says, "Serve me right for wishing on stars. The only way you get anything you want in this world is by hard work." And then, this is when she explains to Naveen that she is a waitress and that it was a costume party, and then she calls him a spoiled little rich boy. And then Naveen says, "Well, the egg is on your face, alright? Because I am not rich. I am completely broke." And then the balloons that they are floating on breaks, and then they get caught by crocodiles, but they hide in a tree, and then the next morning they go off while Tiana was building the boat. And Tiana says that they need to get back to New Orleans and get themselves out of this mess that Prince Naveen has got them into. And while they are paddling, they meet a crocodile named Lewis who loves playing the trumpet. And then Prince Naveen plays with him. And then Lewis says that he would do anything if he can just play with the big boys, like play in a band. And he says that he tried once, but everybody was trying to kill him because, he's an alligator. And so, Tiana says, "It has been really nice meeting you, Lewis, and thank you for not eating us, but we should be on our way." And then Tiana explains that they are on their way to get somebody to break this spell, and And this is when Prince Naveen explains that they are not frogs, that they are humans. And Prince Naveen tries to tell Louis that he is Prince Naveen of Nadanya and she is Tia the waitress. Do not kiss her. And then Tiana sets him straight by saying, hang on just a second. Well, Louis, the truth is that Prince Charming here got himself turned into a frog by a voodoo witch doctor. And now, and then, Louis says, voodoo, you mean like the kind that Mama Odie do? And then Louis explains that there is a voodoo queen in the bayou called Mama Odie. And Mama Odie has magic and spells and all kind of voodoo. And then they asked Louis if he could take them to Mama Odie. And then he says no, because I don't want the hunters to come and get me. So, Prince Naveen says, Louis, it's a shame that we can't help you with your dream. If only you were smaller, less toothy, then you can play adoring music to all the fans without scaring them. Well, enjoy your loneliness, my friend. Openada. And then it gets Louis to change his mind, and he is going to ask Mama Odie to make him human. And then they are off, and then we get our fourth song in the movie, When We're Human, sung by Louis, Prince Naveen, and Tiana. But while they are traveling with Louis, was talking about her restaurant and all the food it's gonna have, it makes Prince Naveen hungry. So he tries to get a fly, but it doesn't work, and he falls, and he says, oh, this is harder than it looks. And so Tiana tries to get the fly, and they both try to get the fly at once. When Tiana was trying to fight it and says, no, 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 I am not kissing a frog and eating a bug on the same day. But her tongue wants that fly. So they both try to get the fly at the same time. And then their tongues get tied up together. And then Louis comes out of the woods, and he says, did you guys find anything to eat yet? And then he says, oh my, I can fix this, I can make this better. And Louis ends up tying them together by their tongues. And this is where we meet Ray the dragonfly. So, Ray helps them get untied, and Tiana explains that they are on their way to meet Mama Odie, but Ray tells them that they are going the wrong way, and that Ray and his family can help because they are all fireflies, and they all glow in the dark. So we get our fifth song in the movie, Going Down the Bayou. And they help Ray and Lewis and Tiana and Ray and everybody just goes down the bayou to where Mama Odie is. But they also get captured by hunters. Prince Naveen and Tiana do. After they get finished dancing by this night, okay. So they get captured by a father and his two sons who want to have some frog legs. But they escape together and they end up having so much fun escaping. And Prince Naveen takes back what he said about Tiana being a stick in the mud. And then after the they escape the one hunter and his sons that tried to make frog legs out of them. They have swamp gumbo. And Tiana puts Prince Naveen to work. And he tells and she actually tells him to mince the mushrooms. So she wants him to cut up the mushrooms for their dinner. He cuts one mushroom and he has the nerve to do, phew, like that took a lot of work. You cut one mushroom. And Tiana took the wooden knife that she made out of the bark and she cut those mushrooms like a pro. But she helped Prince Naveen learn how to cut the mushrooms. And Prince Naveen says, I never done anything like this before. And then Princess Tiana says, really? And then he says, all right, but when you live in a castle, everything is done for you. They feed you, dress you, drive you, brush your teeth. And he admits that it actually was a charmed life until the day that his parents cut him off. Then he realized that he didn't know how to do anything. And then Tiana can see that he is sad, so Tiana can see that he is sad. So she tries to make him feel better by saying, oh, well, look at it this way. At least you have the talent of a good mushroom mincer. So at least he knows how to cut the mushrooms. And Tiana says, keep practicing and I might just hire you. And then and then Prince Naveen says, really? And then Tiana says no. And then and then and 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 and, and, and then Prince Naveen and her start joking, and then when they are all eating, Prince Naveen says, "That was magnificent. You truly have a gift." And while they are getting the seconds, Tiana says, "Thank you." And we actually meet Miss Angeline, the girl that Ray has a crush on, but it's actually a beautiful shooting star. It's actually a star in the sky that he talks to every night, and then we get the most romantic song. Mm, How I Love Miss Angeline. And then Tiana and Naveen, they start dancing on the lily pads together and jumping in the sky, and they almost kissed. But then, while they are walking to meet Mama Odie and to find her place so she can break the spell, Naveen gets captured by a shadow, but Mama Odie to the rescue because she defeats every shadow that comes near Prince Naveen and Ray and at Lewis. And then after she's done defeating them, Mama Odie says, "Not bad for a 100-year-old blind lady. Now, which one of you people have been messing with the Shadow Man?" And then she points to Prince Naveen. And then everybody points to Prince Naveen and the frog. And then Mama Odie offers them candy, which it's not candy. It's just like some like string or something. And then and 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 the and the and 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 and, and then Mama Odie says, "Oh, that's too bad. It would have turned y'all human." And then she said, "I'm just messing with y'all." And then Mama Odie says, "What do you guys really want?" And then and and then Mama Odie says, "What do you guys need?" And then Tiana said, "It's just like you said, Mama Odie. We need to be human." But Mama Odie says, "No, you guys want to be human, but you're blind to what you need." And then Prince Naveen says, "Oh, what we want, what we need, isn't that the same thing?" And then this is what Mama Odie says, "It's the same thing, no. You guys listen to your mama now." And then we get the song Dig a Little Deeper. And then she talks to Tiana and she says that her daddy was a lovely man, family through and through. You are your daddy's daughter. What he had in him, you got in you. And say and and then and 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 then Mama Odie can see as clear as day that Prince Naveen is falling in love with Tiana. And Mama Odie says, "If you get Charlotte to kiss you, Charlotte, Tiana's friend, then they will both turn human. And bada boom and bada bay. And I love the fact that she used the gumbo to tell the future. Like, Mama Odie is my favorite character in the movie. So, after this, Mama Odie says, y'all best get to swimming if you guys are gonna find that princess. But Louis says that he got a better idea. So they hopped on a ship that is heading for New Orleans, and the performers that are performing at Mardi Gras mistake Louis for a human, and he gets to play on the Mardi Gras because he told Mama Odie that he wanted to play with the big boys. But all Mama Odie says, you dig a little deeper and you will find exactly what you need. So, while everybody is going to see Louis play, Prince Naveen stays behind to make Tiana a ring, and he is planning to propose, but when Ray sees this, he thinks that he is proposing to Miss Angeline, but he's not. He's in love with Tiana and wants to propose to Tiana. And actually, Ray wants to tell Tiana that Naveen is planning to propose. But Naveen says, no, I must tell her alone. And then that's when Ray says, I got you, man. I got you. So, Prince Naveen plans this really romantic dinner, and he is trying to propose. He is trying to get it out. But he's just so nervous, and it is just so cute. And he learned how to knit, and he learned how to cut fruit and vegetables just for their romantic dinner. And he set it up a candlelight, and he has a little fake bow tie. It's just so beautiful. He was just trying to promote. It was just so beautiful. But Tiana gets distracted by the look of her restaurant, and she is just so excited because she keeps telling Naveen about the restaurant, and without Naveen's help, the restaurant wouldn't be opening, and that without the money that he's gonna give to her, like, she couldn't lose the place forever. And he tries to propose again, but he knows that but Prince Naveen knows that she loves that restaurant, and she would do anything to keep it. And he doesn't want to get in the way of her dream. But he doesn't know that she loves him too. So he forgets about proposing, and he takes the box and he says, I love the way you light up when you talk about your dream. I will go get the boys, and I promise you that I will do whatever it takes to make your dreams come true. I will go get the boys, and then we can go. But Tiana noticed that he's sad, so she tries to talk to him, but he walks away. but he gets captured by the shadow. But Princess Tiana talks to Miss Angeline, and Tiana says, "Oh, Miss Angeline, I was so sure that I knew what I wanted, but now I'm not so sure. Please tell me what I want." And then she realized that she is in love with Naveen, so she actually goes to find Naveen, but she finds Ray instead. And Ray ends up spilling the beans that he is not gonna go marry Charlotte Laveau, that he is gonna go marry Tiana, and that he will get 2 jobs, even 3 jobs, to make sure she has her restaurant. And then Tiana is so happy that she goes to the Mardi Gras parade, and she sees Prince Naveen in human form, not knowing that it is the voodoo necklace that is making Lawrence look like Prince Naveen. She thinks that Prince Naveen is marrying Charlotte, and she was so happy because she thought Charlotte was marrying a frog on a big parade float. But Tiana is just so heartbroken that she hurt Ray's feelings when she said that Miss Angeline isn't real and that she is just a star. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. No. Do not hurt my boy Ray's feelings. But Ray doesn't pay any attention to her, and Ray actually tells her to come on, Miss Angeline. We are gonna show her the truth, and she's just speaking out of broken heart. That's all that is. Yes, Ray. You keep that mindset. So Ray and Miss Angeline, again, Miss Angelina the star. So Ray tries to talk to Larry, who he thinks is Prince Naveen, and Ray actually finds Prince Naveen in a treasure chest, and he actually gets him out of the box. But they do capture him again when Larry ends up falling before he can say "I do." And they do capture the frog again along with the Shadow's help. So what happened is that Prince Naveen ends up kicking the voodoo necklace that they were using on Lance for him, Lawrence, for him to pretend to be Prince Naveen. And then he flies it over to Tiana and tells her the truth, that it was the voodoo necklace that made her think that was Prince Naveen when it wasn't. And actually, with the shadows following him, Ray says, "Now you can't let the Shadow Man get this no matter what. Now run, girl, run." And now, with Ray being a firefly, he goes up to the shadows and he says, "Don't make me light my butt." So with him being a firefly, he lights up, And he says, come on. And then he fights every shadow off, every shadow. But then the Shadow Man he crushes my boy Ray. He crushes Ray with his shoe. He crushes Ray with his shoe. He crushes that poor Firefly with his shoe. And Lois is off to find Ray, and he finds Ray, but he finds Ray too late. Because when he figured out Ray was in trouble, this is when he pretended to... This is when Lois knew that he could no longer pretend to be a human, and he was a crocodile again, and he scared everyone to go find Ray. But when he found Ray, it was too late because Ray was already crushed by the Shadow Man's shoe. And Tiana is being captured by the Shadow Man as well. But she holds up the necklace and says, back off, or I'm going to break this thing into 1,000,000 pieces. And then the Shadow Man turns her human and makes her restaurant a reality for like 5 seconds. And then it feels like Tiana's gonna give up the talisman to him. But then she says, my daddy never did get what he wanted, but he had what he needed. He had love, and he never lost sight about what was really important, and neither will I. And so she was gonna drop the talisman, but the Shadow Man caught her, and he put the staff to her throat. And then he says, y'all should have taken my deal, and now you're gonna spend your life as a slimy little frog. And then Tiana says, I got news for you, Shadow Man. It's not slime, it's mucus. So she ends up breaking the talisman, and he gets taken to the shadows and turned into stone. But when it is time for Charlotte to kiss Prince Naveen, this is when Tiana says, wait, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And actually, this is when, and actually, this is when Prince Naveen says, it's the only way to get you your dream, and we are running out of time. And this is when Tiana says, my dream wouldn't be complete without you in it. I love you, Naveen. And then they confess their love, and then Charlotte thinks it's just so cute. And Charlotte agrees that actually she will kiss him. And no marriage will be required because Tiana has found her happily ever after. So, but Charlotte kisses him and nothing happens. So, they decide to stay frogs, and it turned out that Lois brings Ray over, and Lois says the Shadow Man has hurt poor Ray low, and he's hurting awful bad. And 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 then Ray says, "How come y'all still frogs?" And then Tiana says, "We're staying frogs way, Ray." And this is when Prince Naveen says, "And we are staying together." So Ray said that he will like that. He will like that very much. And that Miss Angeline would like that too. And then he closes his eyes, and then his light goes out. And then at the funeral, when they put him in a leaf and give and give the flower to the leaf, and the trumpet music is playing for Ray's funeral, it turned out that Ray became a star, and he is holding hands with Miss Angeline. And everybody is happy because he is finally with his Miss Angeline at last. And then Tiana and Naveen, as frogs, they get married by Mama Odie. And then they kiss, and then they become human again. And 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 then Mama Odie says, "Like I told y'all, kissing a princess will break the spell." And then this is when Prince Naveen says, "Once you became my wife, that made you a princess." She said, "You just kiss yourself a princess." And then Naveen says, "And I'm about to do it again." And then they kiss again. And then they get married when they are humans once again. And then Charlotte catches the bouquet. And then, with Lewis's help, the Mr. Finners ends up taking the money and giving Tiana the building so she can open the restaurant. And her and Prince Naveen work night and day. And then they opened up Tiana's place. And his father and mother are there to see him get married. And so is the mom. And when they open up Tiana's place, it turned out that the mom is the first customer there, along with all the other customers. And when they have a big party for when and when they have a big party for the grand opening, Lewis, along with Prince Naveen, is playing the guitar in the trumpet. And everyone is dancing, and Charlotte is dancing with the prince's younger brother, who was 6.5, and Charlotte says, "Well, I waited this long." And then at the end, Tiana says, "Dreams do come true in New Orleans. while she is dancing and Prince Naveen kisses her. The end. Bye, and see you guys in my next video. Bye.